Hello, everyone. It's Hump Day. It is Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. I am Salad Blue Sister, and this is my turn to talk. I hope everyone's having a good day today. Okay, Frankie, you are the first one here, and I am going to get started. So today's show is about why do people refuse to answer a yes or no question? Why do people deflect when you ask them a question? Why is it so hard to get a straightforward answer to seemingly straightforward questions? And again, I'm saying seemingly. All right. Hmm. I don't know how many times I've asked people questions and they, answer a question with a question, or they'll give you what's called the rhetorical um, question. But you have people who, no matter how you ask the question, you know, you try to ask it in different ways. You go around the bush one way, you go around the bush the other way, you head straight through the bush. It's a yes or no question. Can I just get a straightforward answer, yes or no? And it just seems like, some people are evasive. Is it because they're uncomfortable with the question? Is it that they didn't understand the question? Um, is it that they can answer the question, but they disagree with you, so they're going to deflect and ask you something else, and then you kind of change the subject, but they never really answered your question? You know, or people who want to explain. Um, you ask them a simple question, and again, I say seemingly straightforward question. And they want to explain, about this or explain about that, but they're not really, okay, that's fine. But can you answer the question? Can it just be yes or no? I don't know. Have I done that before? Yes. But generally, when people ask me a yes or no question, I will try my best to answer it yes or no. And then if I want to explain or, go off into something else, whatever. But some people just, either have a hard time or they just don't want to do it. Um, you know, if you say, is the day after Tuesday Wednesday? Yes or no question. The answer's, or I'm sorry, is Wednesday the day after Tuesday? And you the answer is yes. Some people just can't, for the life of them, they just cannot answer a simple question. So again, we have three people here, and more people are going to straggle in as they usually do. So I want to throw it out there to people. Why do people deflect when you ask them a question, and why is it so hard to get a straightforward answer to? And again, I'm going to put quote unquote seemingly straightforward questions. So I am going to send, first I'll say welcome. Frankie, I already said welcome to you, but welcome again. Crucible Man, welcome. And Jay Bruno, welcome to you. So I am going to send invites out to everyone to have the mic. If you want to speak, that's fine. If not, I totally understand. You are more than welcome to listen. Okay, so does anyone want to start the conversation with me, or if not, I can keep talking. No problem, Jay. I always throw it out there if someone wants to take the mic. That's not a problem. Crucial Man, hello. How are you today?
Hello, I am well. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. So you wanted to jump into the conversation.
I think that's a very subjective question. I think the key word you used in your introduction was seemingly. In the example you gave was an obvious, black and white question. It was truly yes or no. But I think what happens with people who don't answer yes or no is probably a couple things. One, they don't see it as a yes or no question. In their mind, for whatever reason, they could be right, they could be wrong. It's more nuanced and it's more complicated. And so, even though the asker of the question has broken it down in their minds as a yes or no question, the person answering may decide it's more complicated than that, and they don't want to get backed into a corner. I think that's the most obvious example. Either that, or a more obvious one could be they're deliberately evading answering the question because they're not going to be honest, or they're not comfortable with the position that they're in. So they want to improvise or add additional information that may or may not be useful. But I agree with you. Answer the question. If it truly is a yes or no question, answer the question. And then if you want to embellish from there, you can do that. But I think there are multiple reasons why people don't answer it. And I think part of it is they just don't want to be pinned down to a simple yes or no. They want wiggle room.
Okay, and I know the question that I gave. Does Wednesday come after Tuesday? I purposely did that because it was a simple question, yes, no, whatever. Just to make my point. And I do know that I've asked questions where it may be uncomfortable, and I think that is the main reason that people are uncomfortable answering questions. And that's why, the conversation or show that we did a couple of weeks ago, about, being mature enough, to handle the conversation. Yes, people are going to ask questions that people may not like. You may not want to answer them. But if you put yourself in a situation where you're having a conversation with someone and someone asks a quote unquote difficult or hard question, then you should be adult enough or mature enough to say yes, no, or just answer the question. Especially in today's, what's going on, in today's society, there's lots of difficult questions that people ask. More people are asking straightforward questions, and more people, it seems like they're deflecting, elsewhere. Just answer the question. I mean, if people get upset, they get upset, but for the most part, just answer the question. So, does anyone agree with me, disagree with me? Want to type in the chat? Am I wrong? Am I, blowing smoke? Crucible Man, do you want to give see, people are afraid of being judged or labeled if they leave their answer to one word. Okay, all right. That's fair. But can you say, if the answer is yes, can you say yes, but no, but, instead of, well, what about this? Or, but this person did this. Or what about this? Why can't you just answer yes, no, and then follow up with your explanation? Is that possible? Crucible Man, I'm gonna throw that back to you.
Yeah, I think sometimes the yes or no element is in the eye or the ear of the beholder, and where some people see a very binary choice, there can't possibly be another answer besides yes or no. People see things a lot of times, depending on what their argument is or what their position is, as being conditional. Yes, however. Yes, under most circumstances. However, and like I said before, I think it's wiggle room. I think it's not wanting to be pinned down. Maybe the person who's asking the question is somebody that they have butted heads with in the past, and when they answer yes or no, that other person, takes it and runs with it and doesn't allow for other explanations or things. So I think it's people just want as wide a berth and as much latitude as they can get. Now, obviously, when the situation is reversed and you're trying to get an answer to a yes or no question, you may not be so interested in nuance and things like that. But it is, I think, a way to buy time, maybe gather your thoughts, maybe clarify your thoughts. I don't know, but I think it really stems from people just not wanting to limit their answer because they're afraid they'll be backed into a corner and they'll be judged and labeled. And at that point, there's kind of, you're in the land of no return, I guess.
Okay, all right. Welcome Juju and welcome Crazy Lady. Welcome, my friends. Okay, so let's see. I'm reading some of these. Frankie says can't have it both ways. Thank you everyone for liking the show. Okay, let's see. Am I missing any other comments here? All right, so I also said, okay, so my main question was answer yes or no, but then I also said, why is it so hard to get a straightforward answer to a seemingly straightforward question? So yes, people may not want to back themselves into a corner. Yes, when the situation is flipped, and the questions are now asked of you, then you may not want to give a straightforward, you know, answer. But I mean, I've had disagreements with people where it's like, to me it seemed like it's their way or no way. You're wrong. No matter what. Whatever. But they themselves were not answering the question. They themselves were not. They were doing the exact opposite of what they wanted. um I know people don't want to back themselves into a corner, but again, I say, what is so hard or what is wrong with answering a question, be it yes or no, or giving an affirmative answer, um, and then explaining your answer. Like I said, no, but yes, but even if you said maybe, even if you said maybe, but blah 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 blah, you can still answer, you can still say what you want to say, or qualify your answer or back it up with whatever. um but you can still answer yes or no. I mean, am I wrong? Okay, my phone is being weird today. Crazy lady, a lot of people's phones have been weird lately. So I totally get that. Okay, no, you're not wrong. And welcome, Big Chief Thunder Train. I like that name. Okay, so I am going to send out some more invites. And anybody else want to tackle this question? If you want to jump in, jump in. If you don't want to take the mic, again, I totally understand. And Frankie, I know you're at work. Crazy lady, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Just, hanging out.
Okay, so what do you want to say?
I've always, answer, if it's a yes, like a direct question, I always give a direct answer. No matter what the question is, it's,
Even
I
if
don't
it's
know.
something that is difficult to answer or you may feel uncomfortable?
Yeah. But I was just
Okay.
raised like that, though, so.
So when people don't give uh, an answer or a direct answer, they seem to be beating around the bush or whatever. What do you think? I mean, why do you think people do that? Why do you think people, either won't or have a hard time, you know, giving an answer? and that was to Crazy Lady.
I don't know if I ask someone a direct question and they're like beating around the bush, I come out, I follow saying, no, that was a direct question. That was either a yes or no question. You know, I mean, because like you said, once you say your answer, like yes or no, you can always follow up. But, or, and this is why, or, whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's what I say, that you can give an answer, but then you can still follow it up with, I think this, or I think you're wrong, or yes, or, because of blah, blah, blah. But it just seems like that some people just have such a very hard time asking or answering direct questions. Now,
People don't like blunt.
Okay. But do you think that, okay, now I'm about to change the topic a little bit. So if you're blunt with answering a question, or you think someone else is being blunt and you don't like it, do you think that's necessarily wrong? That, being blunt, just coming out and saying blah, 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 or whatever. And that's a Crazy Lady again.
My answer to that is no. I don't think there is too much bluntness, but I've been accused of being too blunt all the time.
Because they think that you should be more politically correct and more finesse with your questions or your answers?
I don't know. I don't know. My husband thinks that maybe a little more, I don't know, sugarcoating or something. I don't know.
Okay.
It's
all right.
Trait I've never discarded.
Okay. That's interesting that Crazy Lady, says that, because I tell people all the time, this is how I am. I don't like this. I don't like that. I have very little patience, for people who constantly bitch and moan and what have you. I don't like doing this. I don't like doing that. And I tell people up front, especially when people are just getting to know me, whatever, I tell them the type of person that I am. And I find that later on down the road, when I start to behave the way I said that I was, people get upset. And they say, well, that's rude, or this, whatever. But I told you this. I didn't lie. This is how I am. This is, I am that person who will give you that straightforward question. I will, try to, or I'm sorry, that straightforward answer. I am blunt. And, you know, and Crucible Man says tact on tact does count. Yes, it does. But for some people, it's like, you try tact, you try to, sometimes even just don't say anything. And tact doesn't always work with some people. For some people, you just have to come out and say, bump, bump, bump. And I always say, if you don't like it, then don't talk to me. I mean, seriously, because I'm not going to lose sleep. So, I mean, am I wrong? But I think blunt is good. And I don't think enough people are blunt. I don't think enough people, I don't think enough people, okay, Crazy Lady says, if you don't want the answer to the question, if you don't want the answer, don't ask the question. True. I mean, there are some people who they ask you a question and you give them an honest answer, and this is the answer. You don't like my answer, then don't ask the question. So on that note, I am going to, there's a difference between direct and blunt. Okay, I am going to throw it back to Crucible Man. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I think when you get into the direct and the blunt and that kind of thing, you're really talking more about style points than somebody's ability or inability to answer a question. I think direct is always the best, and sometimes you're right, tact doesn't work. People don't pick up on it. So you've got to be a little bit, more blunt, I guess. But for my taste, I think when you're asked a direct question, you may not be comfortable with your information level on the topic. You might be insecure about your knowledge level on the topic, and you're afraid of being judged unfairly, or being put in a position that you don't have any control over. And I think that is another underlying reason people don't like to just give a yes or no answer, because now they've ceded the conversation back to the other person. And in a sense, temporarily at least, they've kind of lost control of the conversation without being able to add additional information to provide context to give the person you're talking to something to come back with. They can simply continue on their line of questioning, which may or may not make you comfortable. And so I think people maintain that reticence on yes or no questions because for the time being they lose control of the conversation.
All right, but I'm going to disagree with you because if you're in a conversation with someone, and a conversation, as we know, can veer off into different things. You can start talking about this, and you can end up talking about that. And a lot of times, people know people are familiar with the people that they're talking to. But even if they're not, let's say you're in a group and you're talking about religion. Okay, you have Catholic, you have Lutherans, you have Protestants, Baptists, Methodists, whatever, atheists, whatever. And people are bringing up some different points, and they're asking some questions that some people may not like, but you're in this conversation. So if you're in a conversation with someone, whether or not they ask a question that you may not like, then you should not be a part of that conversation. You should remove yourself, because there's always going to be somebody who's going to ask you a question that you may not like, that you may not want to answer. And like Crazy Lady says, if you don't like the question, you don't like the answer, don't ask it the question. If you're, in this conversation, then you should expect that all of the questions or whatever topics may not be softball. Okay. And Crucible Man, you're saying that's very subjective. I'll give the mic back to you.
Yeah, I guess it just depends. What if somebody believes that the question is really straightforward and really answerable? Who's making that determination? Is there a book someplace that we can all have access to? We can look up our issue, our thing, our question, and find out, if it should be answered yes or no or not. That's a very subjective thing. There's no rule book that says these are always subjective questions and these are always objective questions. So depending on your position on something, you may not find it to be in that category. And that's why you may want to answer it the way the person is asking you. Because I believe, when this is just my opinion, I'm probably wrong, but when somebody insists on a yes or no answer in a very adamant type of a way, what that tells me is they may not, and I say may not, be interested in the context, because the context may not support what they've been trying to get across. So it always strikes me as funny when somebody doesn't or appears to not want a broader conversation, that there is some reason that they want to restrict the answer to yes or no. And I don't know what that reason could be, but they're clearly bent on a one-word answer for whatever reason, and they aren't interested in something broader. And that's, again, a subjective thing. They may not think the topic warrants a broader conversation. It is simply yes or no. The person answering the question may feel 180 degrees in the other direction and may find it, very subjective and not worthy of a one-word answer.
Okay. All right. I mean, that is possible. And I know I've been in conversations with people who, have got upset with me when I gave them, a yes or no question, or they did not like, the answer. It was almost as if, you're going to bully me because I don't, believe, what you want me to believe. You asked me the question, I gave you an answer, then people don't like the answer, that you get. Or I'm sorry, that you gave. Welcome, Shy Lady. I'm going to go to what Crazy Lady says. When you say, or I can always say, I can't comment on this issue at this time. I'm going to throw the mic back to you. And I'm going to ask you, if you say, I can't comment on this issue at this time, you say that works for you a lot. Do you think that's a cop out? I'm just asking. I'm just throwing that out there.
No, because usually they go, well, why not? And then I'll tell them why I can't comment, and that's when I use either I don't know enough about it or, whatever the reason.
Okay. All right. And that's what I mean. It's like you say it, but then you explain. You explain. So okay. Welcome again, Shy Lady and Sava. I hope I said your name right. Okay, so when you say I can't answer that question and you don't know enough about the subject, do most people accept that and they're cool with it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Crucible Man, what do you think about that? What do you have to say to what Crazy Lady just said?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know enough about the topic, then I think that's a different out, I guess, and you're being honest and not wanting to get into a back and forth with somebody about something that you don't have a comfort level on the knowledge. I think that should be an acceptable answer to the other person. If that's the truth and you're truly being honest, you don't know enough to have the conversation, or you don't want to embarrass yourself, then I think the other person should graciously accept that.
I would think so, but I know that's not always the case for some people. Some people some people do push and push and push, and they don't always graciously accept someone's answer. So, all right. I'm reading what Saba says because they assume the question asker is assuming the meaning behind the yes or no, and assuming gets people into trouble is what Crazy Lady says. And it's about mind control. Interesting, Saba, mind control. So when you say mind control, are you saying the person who is asking for the yes or no question is trying to control the conversation? Or when you say mind control, what do you mean? And I'm going to throw the mic to you. That's very interesting. That's very interesting, the way, that you say that. Bull who cannot answer yes or no are trying to control the minds of others. Okay. Hi, Saba. How are you today?
Hi. Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Hey, everybody.
So what do you have to say?
So because I do watch a lot of depositions and stuff like that, and I noticed that when they don't answer yes or no, it's because they don't want people to conclude on something that they don't want them to conclude on. Basically, they don't want people to think for themselves about judging their character. They want to control that.
Okay.
They want to control how they're being seen instead of just allowing people to have their own minds.
All right, but when you're doing okay, if you're in court, you're bringing up depositions. So when you're in court and people like the attorney says, so were you out there the night of June 1st, whatever, and you answer, well, I went to the store and then I went over to my friend's house, and then they say, so were you out there or not? I mean, that's a yes or no question, right?
Right. Because they're
All right,
afraid of
so
what people will think because they're guilty.
okay, but right. So if people, so when you say, when people, especially in court trials, whatever, when they're asking yes or no questions, they're usually doing it just to get clarification.
Right. But prosecutors, however, or even defenders, they'll ask leading questions that will lead people to think a certain thing. At least that's what the questionnaire would probably justify not answering yes or no.
Okay, all right,
So it can
all
go
right.
both ways, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, okay, so do you think that is wrong? And Saba, I'm going to ask you this, and then I'm going to go back to other people. I'm going to make the
Sure.
rounds.
Mhm.
Do you think that it's wrong to want to ask people just a yes or no question? Like, there's one particular question that I ask a certain group of people, and
Mhm.
only one particular person has given me a yes or no answer.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask that question in a
Okay.
moment. But I want to ask you: do you
Mhm.
think that is wrong to ask yes or no questions?
I think it depends on your intentions. If it's a certain kind of meaning behind it, they should allow them to explain themselves as well. But I'm at work, so I got to hop off. Okay.
Okay, all right. So thank you for coming. All right, so I'm going to ask. Let me see. Who do I have in the room here? Okay, let me. Okay, I'm going to ask this question, but first I need some answers from people. If you're willing to answer this question, I pretty much know the answer, but for this question, could you all answer the question? Um, who in this room right now is white? And someone, can you all, I pretty much know, but if you all can just give me an affirmative. Crazy lady, yes. Crucible man says yes. Okay, so shy lady, I know you're not. Frankie, are you there? I know you are at work, but can you answer? And Frankie says no. Okay, so my question is, and I hope you guys don't take this the wrong way, but this is a yes or no question. And I've asked this question before of many white people. I am not white, I'm African American. And again, I only had one person who answered the question with a yes or no, and then they told me why. And the question is, would you want to be black? So, crazy lady, crucible man, I'll give you guys the mic, or if you want to put it in the chat. Okay, so crazy lady says no. Crucible man, do you want to answer or not? Or okay, so I am going to throw the mic over to crazy lady. Okay, you said no. Can I now? You said no. Now, do you want to expound on your answer?
Because I love my heritage.
Okay, all right, okay. I find that when I ask that question, if I'm in a conversation with white people, and we're talking about race or whatever, hi Saba, you are back. My question was, would you want to be, if you are white, would you want to be black? And when I asked that question, I ask that question whenever, not whenever, but sometimes when I'm in a conversation with white people, and we're talking about race or whatever, and sometimes the questions can get heated, whatever, and I ask them, and I usually get no problem, Saba. I know you're at work, but your answer it interests me. Um, you know, they can't seem to answer the question. It's like, it seems like they're embarrassed, or they're embarrassed to just come out and say no, whatever. I mean, I already pretty much know what the answer is. Um, and I don't take offense. But that seems to be a question that makes people like, I don't necessarily want to answer that question. But it's a question where if you say no, then because blah blah blah. Crazy lady just answered it. I mean, so this is you're the second white person that I know who has answered the question. You said no, and you told me why. No one else can seem to answer that question. So that's what I mean. If you are asking a question that, you know, um, you don't like, or you don't want to answer, or whatever, if you're in a conversation with someone, would you want to be white? Honestly, when I was younger, my answer was yes. And when I made that comment, and when I was actually in a conversation, something had happened at school, and my mother came up to school, and when we got home, my mother asked me that question. She said, "Would you want to be white?" And I said yes. And my mother had a fit, and she says, "Don't you ever want to, be something, number one, that you're not." And she told me all the reasons why it's beneficial for me to be black. And she asked me why, and I told her. I said, because it seems like that white people get everything. That no matter what, white people get everything. So I answered the question. She asked me why, and I told her. So I was saying black folks, are the coolest. But when you're in conversations with people, somebody may come up with that question, that yes or no question, or that straightforward question that may be difficult to answer. So all I'm saying is, you know, answer the question, but then follow it up with because, or I think, whatever, just answer the question, or else don't be part of conversations that you may not like. So, having said that, I am going to circle around. Shy Lady, you are here. Let's see. Do you anything that you want to say? Juju, I know you're still you're at the pool. I spoke to you earlier. You're at the pool, and Frankie, you're at work. So, Shy Lady, I will come on to you, and then I'll circle back around the Crucible Man. So, what do you have to say, girl?
Interesting question. I don't know why people find it difficult. Just be truthful, and I don't get offended either. If someone was to say no, I don't want to be uh, black. I'm not offended. If the question was reversed, and I was asked if I want to be white, I would tell them the truth, and the answer is no,
Okay.
because I'm proud of my heritage. I'm
Okay.
very proud of coming from African American heritage. Very, very proud. So
Okay.
that's all I want to say.
All right. And I am going to, Frankie, thank you so much. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to circle around to Crucible Man. Do you have anything you want to add?
I think people's hesitance, reluctance to answer that question is rooted in obviously racialization of things, and they're terrified really of being looked at as a racist. And if they don't answer in the affirmative, they're afraid the person asking the question is going to make some harsh judgments. Now, I am happy being white. I don't necessarily think of myself as white. I don't really dwell on my skin color, but in case you haven't noticed, and I don't mean you personally, but the group or anybody walking the earth today, white men are not exactly the most popular species on the planet these days. And, white women probably, not too far behind. So are blacks viewed more favorably than white these days? I don't know that I would make that case. I think they're viewed more favorably in a lot of ways than white people based on their skin color. So, the timing of the question, I still would prefer my heritage. Like I said, I don't know any other thing. So it's hard to really, want something you have no knowledge of. But, being a white man today or a white person does not exactly cast you in a favorable light relative to world events these days.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with you on that, but first I'm going to say hello to Feisty1. Welcome, my friend. Okay, Crucible Man. Let's see, Crazy Lady says, I am never politically or socially correct ever. All right, so Crucible Man, I disagree with you on that. So let me ask this question. This is a straightforward question. So you say that you don't think white men are viewed, in a, favored light, and white women are not far behind. Do you believe that white men, and this is a straightforward question, do you believe white men pretty much control what goes on in this world? Crucible?
Probably.
Okay. Do you believe that white women also have more control than, say, Latino women, Black women, Native American women, Asian women?
Control is a
Okay. Let me change that. I will change it to, do you believe that white men and white women are the most entitled race on the planet?
No. Entitled implies you're getting something that you don't deserve. And I think a lot of white people, a lot of black people, and I don't want this to get into a racial conversation because I'm not really comfortable with it, but entitlement means you're getting something you haven't earned or you don't deserve, and it means that somebody else doesn't deserve it either, based on their skin color. And I don't believe that. Do certain people treat people that way? Of course they do. Racism is always going to be alive and well in this country, but I think to say they're entitled, it means they think they deserve things they haven't earned or they don't deserve. And I think that's a very, very slippery slope.
Okay. All right. Well, actually, next week I'm actually doing a show on entitlement. So it may go into race. So that's your option. If you want to join in or not. But I will disagree with you, and I will just leave it at that. Let's see. I will go to Crazy Lady. Do you want to comment on anything that has been said?
I mean, I can see how, like, a lot, like in American society, the white male could be viewed as being, I guess, privileged or whatever. But I just think the male genders are like, I don't think girls have gotten there where the guys are yet in equality.
Okay.
That's why I
All
said,
right.
I'd like to been make a guy. I feel like I probably would have had, like, the women. We were the last ones that were allowed to vote or hold property.
Well, actually, Black women were the last
Well, yeah.
ones that
Well,
were
it was still
allowed
a
to
woman.
vote.
It was still a woman.
But you guys got it in, like, what, 1919? We had to wait until 1965. So there
Yeah.
is,
Yeah, you guys did have to wait till 65.
there is a big difference there. So Okay. Let's see. Frankie says bullshit. Thanks, Frankie. Sorry, I think you're wrong. You're entitled to your opinion. Okay. All right. So we got a little disagreement there between Frankie and Crucible Man. Shy Lady, did you want to say anything? Your mic is open. Did you want to say anything? Or was that an accident here? Okay. All right. So I am going to send out see if I see one. Do you want to join in the conversation? Do you have anything that you want to say in terms of answering a yes or no question, or forward questions and people unable to answer, or they answer in the affirmative or in the negative, with tact, being blunt, without tact, whatever? Or do you want to join in on this conversation? Okay. All right. So I am going to circle back around to you, Crucible Man. And I am going to put you on the spot. If you don't want to answer the question, then tell me you don't want to answer, and that is fine. So for questions like this that we are talking about now, and the question that I asked about, wanting to be black or whatever, that's a straightforward answer. Whatever you said that you were, didn't feel comfortable with it, whatever. So would that mean that in terms of conversations that you get into, that you would want to steer the conversation a different way if you feel that is going somewhere where it was not conducive to your comfort level?
You cut out there. I didn't hear the whole question.
Would you want to steer a conversation a different way if it was not conducive to your comfort level?
The topic of race?
No, I mean, no, I'm just saying in terms of answer. I'm just asking a question, period. You said that when I asked the question, would you want to be black, and the answer that you gave, and you said that, well, actually, you didn't give an answer. You said that, some topics, or this particular topic, will go into race, and you're not comfortable with it. So what I'm asking you is, if you were in a conversation with someone and the conversation was going in a way that you did not feel comfortable, would you try to steer it into another direction that made you more comfortable?
Probably.
Okay. All right. But what if you open the door?
Well, I mean, most topics are not binary, and they're not black and white, no pun intended. So when you get into a conversation, unless you're going to talk about everything and put everything on the table and be as honest as possible, warts and all, on both sides, then I don't know that I would be comfortable with the conversation. It depends on, is there an agenda behind the conversation, or is it an honest exchange? Because earlier when you did ask the question, would we like to be black? I answered no. I don't know if you picked up.
Sorry, I didn't see that. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No. And so I think any conversation that you're not comfortable with, you're going to steer it in a direction that you're more comfortable with, depending on who you're talking to, what kind of relationship you have with them. If conversations on that same topic or even different topics have jumped the rails in the past, and maybe people are a little bit leery of going down the path again, maybe things that they've said in the past have been misinterpreted, and you end up going in circles and ending up agreeing to disagree anyway. So yeah, I would always, anytime I think you're uncomfortable with something, you're always going to want to steer it, whether it's a conversation, a social situation, a work situation, anything that you're uncomfortable with, you're going to want to try to, steer it into an area where you are comfortable. It doesn't matter what the topic is, but it's based on honesty and truthfulness. And when people are honest with each other, then you can agree to disagree. But if people aren't being honest, I know we had this conversation on one of your shows a couple weeks ago, then it isn't really a agree to disagree thing. We're not even talking about the same facts anymore. But it just goes back to, are you comfortable talking to that person about whatever the topic is? And do you feel that they will treat you fairly regardless of your answers and not judge you? They may not come out and tell you they're judging you, but they may file it away and go, that guy's a bigot. And you don't know what they're saying. And I know one of your listeners brought this up earlier, and I kind of alluded to it. It is a control thing. People are afraid of losing control of a conversation that makes them uncomfortable. So I think either you have to end the conversation or steer it in a direction that you are more comfortable with and have a little bit more control over.
All right. I hear what you're saying. I don't necessarily agree with what you are saying. Because to me, I've been in conversations with people where they've asked me a question, I've given them an answer, and they didn't like the answer, and it turned into an argument. And then you just dismiss yourself from the entire, like, this is stupid. I'm not going to continue this with this person because it just makes no sense. If you're in a conversation with someone and they ask you a straightforward question and you're having this dialogue, and it is honest, it is there's no agenda, whatever, it is a dialogue. But most conversations tend to go from A to B to C, and then they may circle back around to A, but conversations change, it in the middle. They just do. So does that mean that if we're talking about something and all of a sudden someone says something that you don't like, you're going to change the conversation just because you're uncomfortable or you don't like it, but you were engaging in this conversation before? Then all of a sudden the conversation goes here, then, well, hold on, I don't want to talk about this now. I don't know. And I think Frankie said, where is it? She said something about people being a coward. Does that mean that people are okay? She says, or some people are cowards to answer questions. So are people being cowards if they want to steer the conversation into another direction? Or I don't know. And Crazy Lady, I have some unrelated happy news. My precious little girl of 21 is engaged. Congratulations. Crazy Lady. So, I mean, are people being cowards? Shy Lady, I'm going to start with you. What do you think?
So I knew what I was talking about in my homework.
Shy Lady, you there?
Where you find that?
Okay. I'm going to go to Crazy Lady. What do you think, Crazy Lady?
Yeah, well, yes and no, depending on the situation. Some people, yeah, they do turn coward and like run away from some topics or discussions.
Well, if you are steering the conversation into a different direction because you're not comfortable with it, I mean, are you being a coward? I mean, when you were like Frankie says, I mean, are you being a coward because you were engaging in the conversation before, but now you want to steer it in another direction? Are you being a coward?
Yeah, in that kind of situation, yeah. If you were engaging it before and then someone made a point or something that you didn't like or something, and now you're going to change the whole subject, yeah, then that's just means that you're being. I would interpret it as they are being closed-minded and don't want to see another road or another way of looking at something.
Okay, all right. Crucible Man, I'll circle back around to you. What do you think?
It depends, but I think coward is a little harsh. I mean, you may be afraid you're going to say something that's going to offend someone, or something might be taken the wrong way. You may have had the same conversation with the same person before with an unpleasant outcome. So to call somebody a coward because they're they're choosing maybe to employ some tact or spare somebody's feelings. It depends on why they're not answering. You can't say they're never cowards, and you can't say they're always cowards, because it depends. People may not be comfortable with having that particular conversation with that particular person at that time. Maybe the next day, having that conversation with a completely different person, you're more willing to answer some questions. So it's a gray area depending on who's having the conversation. But sometimes I think that's the path of least resistance. If you don't want to get into an argument with this person, you don't want to get into a fight, and you feel like that is a very real possibility, then what's wrong with let's agree to disagree and diffuse the situation and talk about baseball or talk about the weather or talk about anything. I don't know.
Okay, Crucible Man, you're making me laugh because I have to go back to a show that we did. I think it was 2 weeks ago when we were talking up, and it came up to agree to disagree, and you didn't like that term. You didn't like that term to agree to disagree. So, is agreeing to disagree okay when it's convenient? And if you're going to change the conversation that you were already engaged in this conversation, then it's going in a direction that you don't like, then you want to jump off. I mean, I don't know. I say that if you're in the conversation and you're engaged, and you're having this conversation, and like I said, conversations change. They go in different directions. um you know stay with it. And if you're going to say you're going to agree to disagree, then that should be agree to disagree all over the board, not you can pick and choose. And I guess that's what I'm coming to with this topic. Refusing to answer a yes or no question, answering straightforward answers. It's like, are we picking and choosing what we want to answer when it's convenient? Well, I'll answer this, but then if she asks this or if he asks this, then I'm not going to answer this. If you're in the conversation, to me, you're invested. And the only way I say to agree to disagree is if you're constantly going around in circles and you're just not agreeing on anything, and it's about to go into an argument or something, and you don't want to go there. Agree to disagree. But because you're uncomfortable with the question and you've already been invested in the conversation, and it could be something that the conversation could have turned by something that you said. So are you going to jump off the train when you were the one that put it on the track? I mean, Crucible Man, then I'll go to Shy Lady if she wants to answer.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, sometimes when and then I'm not entirely comfortable with the agree to disagree approach, because sometimes I think it can just be a cop out for not having a good argument, and you feel like you're losing the argument and you don't have the facts on your side, and you simply want to bow out gracefully without having to defend your position anymore. I think the words "let's agree to disagree" are perfectly fine when you're agreeing to disagree about your opinions. But when you have facts in play that you're refusing to acknowledge, and then you go the "let's agree to disagree" route, that's where I have a problem with it, because we can't agree to disagree on factual information. That's just cowardly. So that would be my answer to that.
Okay. All right. So then what Frankie said earlier about being cowards, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, it seems like that we're picking and choosing, what it is. And again, when I say agree to disagree, again, if you're in a conversation with someone and you're invested in this conversation, when I say invested, I mean the two of you, the four of you, however many people have been talking, and whatever the conversation is has been going on, and then someone says something, this question pops up that one or two people may not feel comfortable with, or they may not like, then they want to jump ship, and then they want to say, let's agree to disagree. I think that's being, I would have to agree with Frankie there. I think that is being a coward. So I don't know. I don't know. So Crucible, you want to answer that? And again, I want to go to Shy Lady.
Yeah, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I think people have their reasons for wanting to either steer a conversation, or maybe, like I said before, sparing somebody's feelings, or not wanting to be impolite, or maybe it's drifting into an area where your knowledge level isn't as solid as you would like it to be. There's all kinds of reasons why people would want to agree to disagree. I don't know why people are so quick to go to the coward route. That seems like pretty fast judgment, when I could say, well, you're being a coward for judging me as a coward because I don't want to finish this conversation anymore. I mean, coward is in the eye of the beholder.
But you just said agree to disagree, that was a cowardly way. Didn't you say that?
I don't think I did.
All right. Okay. So we're going to have to agree to disagree agree on this one. So, Shy Lady, do you want to add anything? Shy Lady, you
I've
there?
been listening, and it's been very interesting. I know it's hard to believe I don't have much to say.
Not a problem. I want to circle around to all of the people who have the mic. So, okay. So, Frankie, thank you so much for your golden beans, girl. Thank you. And you asked me, would you consider a weekend show only time you have to talk? Unfortunately, Frankie, my weekends are very, 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 very busy. And for the most part, I know other people, they value their weekends with their families, or if they have some other things to do, or if they're working, and the weekends are the only time that they have to chill and do other things. So unfortunately, at this time, I will not be doing a weekend show. But when I do, I look forward to you putting in your input. And Shy Lady says copycat. And thank you guys for liking the show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, all right. So this is where we are. I think that this show was agree to disagree. People had their opinions. I disagreed. Frankie has some disagreements. Crucible Man has some disagreements. Whatever. But once again, I like to push the envelope. I like to talk about things that people don't necessarily want to talk about. So, on that note, I am going to say goodbye. Always speak your truth. I am Salad Blue Sister. This is my turn to talk, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Juju, thank you. Yes and no. Yes and no. I'm confused on that one. Or you were talking to Shy Lady. Okay. And again, Frankie, if I do a weekend show, I will let you know. And if I do a weekend show, it would probably only be 30 minutes, even though it'll probably go longer. But I would target it just for a 30-minute show, and it would probably be something light. Agree to disagree. Juju. Okay, got it. So yeah, Frankie, it would probably be something light in terms of the topic. But as of right now, no. And Crucible Man, I know I disagreed with you today, and hope no offense was taken. It's all part of the conversation. And Miss Feisty One, thank you for showing up. And Juju, you're going to have to, if I win the lottery, I'm going to give you a house with a pool where you can have your own private pool. Because, girl, you love your pool time. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said that on air. You all are witnesses. Okay, did I miss anything in the chat? No, I didn't. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.